I am ready. I am ready for podcast. Yes, I am.
Yes, she
Oh,
is.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
Bop.
Hello and welcome to Back Row Waffle. I'm Zion, this is Gabby over here, and we met on Twitch a while ago, and now we waffle about everything to fill our time when we're not playing Marvel Rivals.
It's
And
true.
today, we're going to talk... this is kind of like a gaming catch-up episode. We had the PlayStation State of Play last week, which we've reacted to the Tides of Annihilation trailer, and also the Directive 8020 trailer.
8020.
So make sure you keep an eye out for those on the channel. I'm sure they will be around this podcast. But yes, a lot of good, very interesting stuff. And it's kind of a big month in games, which is weird for February, because I feel like February is kind of just quiet a lot
Poopy.
of years. Yeah, I feel like we get maybe one big game in February, March time, and then everything else is September to Christmas. But this month, we have new Yakuza game, which I am blown away for. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I feel like we get a new Yakuza game like every year at this point, and I have no issues with that whatsoever because the studio that make them are the kings of reusing assets, and I have no issues with that. You know, sometimes when people are just like, I can't believe they're reusing assets in this game. How lazy. For Yakuza, it's just like they've been using the same map since 2005, and everyone is just like, this is fine.
This is
They just
fine.
put the same map in, they tweak it a little bit, and everyone goes,
I was going to
beautiful.
say, if they tweak it, and I'm assuming it's quite a big map.
Oh yeah, like
Because I feel
it's
like
kind of like a
it's about the stories within that map, right? And if the
oh
map's
yeah, which are
interesting
dead.
enough,
Yeah,
then it's kind of similar to like here she goes again. Dragon Age is the same
she's
map,
off.
like, but it's about the stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the area that they use is like an area of Tokyo, so it's like a big built up sort of few like main streets and side streets and stuff, and they do tweak it. They do like change bits. They make more places accessible. They make less places accessible. But there's always so much to do that like we don't really care.
Yeah.
You have that, and then there's like another different city that they've reused a few times, and now we have Hawaii as well, which is like a portion of the Hawaii beach
Yeah.
and a bit of the city, and that's what they're using for this new one. It's the same map they used for the previous game.
Yeah, because you
But
go to Hawaii in the
yeah,
previous one, right? I seem to remember you
yeah,
having like a pet lobster or crab or
you
something.
do have a pet crawfish called Nancy.
Crawfish. Close
Yeah,
enough.
who you rescue in the previous game. But yeah, so this new one is Hawaii. It's the same map as Infinite Wealth, which was the last game, but it also features ship combat.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they have given you your own pirate ship in this game, and they've essentially looked at that Skull and Bones game that Ubisoft made from the Assassin's Creed ship combat and thought, we'll make that better by
Yeah.
adding like on foot stuff so you can like jump between ships and fight people on foot.
Oh, that's so cool.
You can like use mini cannons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've given the ships lasers and machine guns because of course they have.
Yeah, why not?
But it genuinely looks really excellent, and apparently there's quite a lot of that. And I think there's another sort of mini island that's kind of like your pirate base,
Wow.
where I guess
Sounds
they
fun.
watched Pirates of the Caribbean and thought, let's just give them like Yakuza Tortuga. But it looks fantastic. I'm very,
That
very
does
excited.
sound really cool. I like oceany, like piratey things. So I've not
Yeah.
played a Yakuza game, but I would be tempted by that side of things.
Yeah. It comes out the day after this podcast, so
There you
I will
go.
be playing the living crap
And then I'll
out of
lose
it.
Zion forever, and we won't ever have a podcast
Yeah.
episode.
If there isn't a podcast next week, it's because I'm still playing Yakuza.
He's playing
But
Yakuza. I'll just do a solo
looks fun.
waffle.
Yeah, solo waffle. Like Zion's over there somewhere. He's still playing Yakuza.
I'll just do another video essay about Dragon Age and Mass Effect.
I'm in. I'm on board. Yes, this one is technically a spin-off, but it is also sort of a sequel. Like it takes place after the last game, and they do mention the events of the last game. So it's a little bit of both, but I'm very excited to see what they come up with because I can guarantee it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
And I was just telling Gab right before we hit recording, you get a pet tiger who you can dress up. He's a little baby tiger, and you can put some clothes on him.
That's so cute.
I don't know where the tiger came from. I'm sure we'll find out at the start of the game. But from what I've seen, it's a solo adventure where you just play as Majima, who is a character from every other game. He's sort of like your crazy kind of anti-hero kind of character,
Love an
where he's
anti-hero.
sort of against you, but always does the right thing in the end. And it seems like you just play as him and have this little baby tiger following you around for
And
the rest
become
of
a
the game.
pirate.
So I'm in. I'm on board.
Sounds great to me. Count us
It's
in.
gonna be nuts.
I feel like you went straight for Yakuza, which I don't blame you,
Did.
because if like Mass
I
Effect
had
was on
to
this
get it out.
list, I would talk about it. But I feel like we should talk about the games that have come out already before we
Well,
talk
you
about
know,
the
there was
games
some
that are
other, some
coming.
other stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So let's go for like I think the furthest one back, which will be Sims.
Yep, the Sims Legacy editions, Sims 1 and 2.
25th anniversary, yeah, Legacy Collection. They re-released Sims 1 and Sims 2 with, I don't know if it's all of the expansion packs, but definitely most
I think
of
it's
them.
most of them. Yeah.
For players to buy. I think you haven't purchased yet, right? But
No, I've not played them yet.
I went through a journey with my
You did.
with my
I quite enjoyed
purchasing.
this.
So I am a Sims fan. I played Sims 2 when I was younger. Absolutely adored Sims 3. Is still my favourite, and played about 4,000 hours of that in my teenagehood.
So good.
I still think it's the best. The open world of Sims 3 makes everything so much more kind of
It's
like
so
immersive. Yeah.
I don't know why they would get rid of that. It blows my mind that they just got rid of it in The Sims 4.
Well, I think it's
not
because
like
Sims 3
they couldn't
ran like
handle it.
ass, right? So, but
Yeah, but I mean, there was
figure
so
it out.
long.
Look
It
at
was so long
GTA
between
5
Sims 3.
online. Like, there's literally
Yeah.
like hundreds of players in a massive city where people are like blowing stuff up with rocket launchers. You're telling me you can't make a Sims game work in open world?
Like, we're going
Not
to talk
buying
about it a little bit more after The Sims and some other things, but Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out this month.
Mm.
That has 100 player servers. Like, it's an online game, 100 players who can they're all in like groups of 4, but they're all sharing a server.
Mm-hmm.
And they can all just go out and just fight giant 15-foot high monsters at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you couldn't give us an open world in The Sims?
You're telling me, yeah, just
I mean, obviously,
optimize
like
it
The
there.
Sims 4 was a while ago now. It
Yeah.
came out, but still, even at that time, it just.
I mean,
it's
I'm not a
baffling that
game
they got rid
dev.
of
I
it.
don't pretend to understand the challenges, but
Yeah.
I think you could figure it out. But so, yeah, and do you know what I
It's
used to
just
love?
strange.
So I like the Sims games for like the family content. I like having a little young adult and then, you know, get the career going, have a family, like have some pets and some babies and like make them
Babies.
die like with wealth and then have generations, you know? I used to
Yeah, I
love
love
like my sim taking the baby out in the pram, just walking to the park, none of these loading screens. You know what my issue is with Sims 4? All of my Sims go crazy because they never leave the house. Because I can't be bothered to wait for the loading screen. But anyway, I digress.
Strange.
We're supposed to be talking about Sims 2 and 1 and I just went off. But,
we went off. It's a valid complaint, though, because like you said, Sims 3 kind of ran like Dookie. But that was on like 2010 laptops that people were playing that. And now we have the PS5, the Series X, PCs.
PCs.
It's just strange.
Yeah. So, and Sims 4, I got Sims 4 when it first came out. I've never loved it as much as 3, but I have played thousands of hours in it, so I obviously don't hate it that much. But anyway, so when they said they were bringing out Sims 2 and 1 again, I was very excited. So I didn't buy the Sims 1, I only bought the Sims 2.
I would do the same, by the way, because I never played the Sims 1 because I was just too young.
I did at like a friend's house.
Yeah.
Like,
so Sims 2 was where I started.
Yeah. I mean, Sims 1 is very basic. But anyway, my journey, I think, is where I started on this before I got distracted complaining. My journey was, I was excited. I paid the 25 quid, downloaded Sims 2. I launched Sims 2 and quickly learned that they have not done anything to it. It's not a remaster, it's a re-release. And it's released in the state it was in whenever it was that Sims 2 was out. Like, the same bugs are still in there.
2004?
I had loads of errors. Like, for example, like a sim would ring me and be like, hey, you want to meet up in downtown? I'd be like, yeah. And then as soon as I put the phone down, they'd be like, I can't believe you stood me up. And I'm like, I haven't even fucking called the taxi yet. And when I Googled it to be like, hey, how do I get around this bug? People were reporting this bug in like 2008 when Sims 2 was actually a thing. So like, this is a bug from the original game. So then I got really angry and I was like, you know what? I'm done with EA. I'm done with their cash grabs. They don't deserve my money. So I refunded it. I refunded it and Steam immediately was like, yeah, no problem. You'll get a refund in like 5 to 12 days or whatever. And then
just by the way, regardless of how this story turns out, can we just appreciate that Steam is just like, baby, refund it all day, every day.
Yeah. I played for over 2 hours. I think I played for like 2 hours, 20 minutes. So I was like, ooh, but they let me have it straight away. They were like, yeah, no prob. And then I proceeded to spend the next like 3 to 4 hours being like, man, I wish I could play The Sims 2. I really miss The Sims 2.
Yeah, because I was streaming at the time and you came into my chat and you were like, I kind of want to play The Sims 2 again, but I already refunded it.
So then I caved on like the 4th hour and I rebought Sims 2.
Not so even within like a day.
I was 50 quid out whilst I waited for my £25 refund to come back. So that was my journey with Sims 2. I am still annoyed that they didn't like do anything to it.
It's strange that it's been 17 years and there's still a bug in it.
Well, there's many bugs, and I've seen many people complain about it. Some people have errors and they can't even play it, or it doesn't work properly. And then some people are just like, the same bugs from 2008, whenever it was, are still in there. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
have they updated it?
I don't know.
Since release?
I don't actually know because
I hope so.
I haven't. Then I got distracted by Dragon Age as per Cyberpunk, but yeah, it really annoyed me that they didn't like. I'm not expecting a full like remaster. Like I'm not expecting them to update the graphics or anything like that. But like at least fix what was broke about your old game before you send it back out to players.
It doesn't give a good image, does it? That they're like, we're releasing a fan favorite.
EA doesn't have a good image anyway, right? So
well, yeah. I mean, EA do some great things.
They do,
but they do some equally bad things as well.
I think I'm allowed to say this because I am the #1 biggest fan of Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and I spend a lot of my money on it. So I am going to rant about The Sims. Okay, EA, you can be mad at me all you want. Not that you're watching, but you know, I've given you a lot of my money, and I will continue to give you my money.
I still love you, EA. I will continue to give my money. I still love you.
Please forgive me and don't cancel Mass Effect 5. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Mass Effect 5? Mass Effect 4?
I mean, it's technically both.
Are they calling it Emmy? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, actually.
I'm going to stop myself before I talk about Mass Effect again.
We were at the Sims still. Yeah.
I'm going to add a counter to this video. How many times does Gabby say the word Dragon Age or Mass Effect? But anyway, what do you think, Zion? Do you think we'll be picking up Sims with my hasty review I've given you?
I will do some research before I part with my money, as I would recommend everybody does. With, to be honest, not just
do as
Sims,
I say, not as I do.
Yeah. I feel like, connecting to earlier, I feel like Yakuza is basically the only series that I will pre-order without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I've never been well, that's a lie. I've been disappointed by Yakuza 4 and 5, but that was a long time ago, and I'm willing to get over it. Those games came out in like 2008, and they never remastered them.
He forgives you, Sega. Is it Sega?
I forgive you.
Yeah.
It is Sega, yeah. But the newer ones, I'm just like, new Yakuza game, bam.
I'm in.
Card slapped on the table, I'm in. Day one.
Count him in.
But yes, there are a lot of series, and it does depend on the developer and the series that I will not rush into.
Yeah.
Someone actually reminded me earlier, because there's a game that's just come out that's made by the Life is Strange developers. As in the original ones, Don't Nod.
Yeah.
That just came out today that is set in the 80s, I think, and people seem to really like it. And the new Life is Strange game, that Double Exposure with Max Caulfield in it, came out last year, and I was like, boom, Life is Strange, great, 10 out of 10 into that. But I'm not going to pre-order it. I'm not going to go crazy. Didn't pre-order it. It came out, and some like lifetime fans of Life is Strange that I know were so disappointed.
Yeah, I heard
the direction that they went in, and I'm just like, I still haven't played it, and I'm like, I probably won't now.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I played the first Life is Strange game. I've not played any of the others. I liked Life is Strange, and I was content to leave it there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I did like
Life is Strange Before the Storm, the prequel one, great. Life is Strange 2, not great. True Colors, great. So we're kind of alternating now.
Yeah, they're
We're like,
alternating.
great, not good. Great, not good.
They're hitting 50% of their marks. So the new game by Don't Nod, is that to do with Life is Strange, or is that something completely new?
Because I don't think Don't Nod make Life is Strange anymore.
Right. So is it the same game style?
It is the same game style. Yes, it is. Yeah. I've accidentally ended up on their French website, and that's just fine. I just needed a date. But yes, it is called Lost Records, Bloom and Rage.
Ooh.
Narrative adventure, choices matter, female lead is what it tells me. But yes,
Son
as far as I know, the first episode of that came out today because I think they're doing an episodic release again.
Oh, nice. Okay.
10% launch discount on Steam.
Is that PS5? Oh no, Steam. Okay. Cool.
It is all platforms. But yes, the first episode of that came out today, and it says rewind back to the 90s and live the defining summer of 4 high school girls as they forge bonds through their friendship, their punk band, and an unexplained event that will forever change their lives.
Ooh.
Is the description of Lost Records. So yeah, that came out today.
I'm all in.
I forgot that came out today, so I'm glad we brought up Life is Strange and had a quick look at that.
Yeah.
Because it looks very cool. So I might have to give that a go. I'm in.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, and I'll go back to the 90s. Take me there.
Take me there. I was a baby. Take me there.
Speaking of games that you're interested in but don't want to pre-order, Civ 7.
Civ 7.
I was really excited when I heard that they were doing a Civ 7. I was excited that Gwendolyn Christie is that her name?
Yes, from Game of Thrones and Star Wars.
She did the trailer, which was very exciting, and I think
I don't know why I said Star Wars and not like Wednesday. She was nothing in Star Wars.
But I think she narrates the game. I could be wrong.
Yes,
but she does.
Although I do miss Sean Bean.
Yeah,
Sean Bean did he do 5 or 6? 5. He did one of them, but he was good. Great.
That was one that I was excited for, but I decided not to pre-order because I remember when I went from Civ 5 to Civ 6, I actually didn't get on with Civ 6 for ages, and I gave up on it for like 2 years, and then finally played it and was like, okay, it's not so bad. So I was like, let's not drop 60 quid, or I think the collectors or like whatever the like special edition was like 90 to 120 quid or something.
Crazy.
For a Civ game feels wild.
Because Yakuza that we were talking about, I looked that up yesterday because I need to pre-order it, and the deluxe edition is £65. And I was like, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
Which I hate saying that because deluxe editions of game used to be like 40, but
yeah,
65 quid in 2025 is not bad.
Cosy living and all.
Cosy living.
Yeah. So quite expensive for a game that is technically kind of like the same as before, but just updated and tweaked it. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get the same satisfaction.
Yeah, it's not a yearly release like FIFA or something, but it's still like they're not gonna mess with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like similar game, just upgraded like features and whatnot, which is great.
It does work.
I'm all for it. I'm all for updating the game, keep improving it. 60? Is it 60 or is it 70?
Have a quick Google because I was
at my wish list.
I was talking about this with another friend of ours earlier this week about Civ 7, and I was saying it's impressive that Civ 7 has continued, or Civilization has continued to release like new games, and they're always number one of that genre.
Yeah.
Because if you think about stuff like SimCity, for example, it's the city building genre. But then the newest one, SimCity, just completely flopped, and like all these other clones of it came in, like City Skylines and like that Anno game, I think is similar as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they all like took over that genre, and now they're like the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But Civ 7, there's been so many like clones of Civilization, and none of them have ever overtaken the original.
No.
And I think that's kind of the most
impressive
part.
It's got a really solid, loyal fan base, I think. I mean, there's people that still swear by like Civ 5 and even earlier Civs.
I mean, it's
still play them.
Just like stuff that comes out that sort of creates a genre, and then other ones come out and overtake it. Like, I mean, you kind of got that with like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals at the moment, where like Overwatch was the hero shooter.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
Marvel Rivals didn't take over Overwatch so
no,
much as
it didn't.
Overwatch
But
killed itself, and then
well, yeah, that's kind of a good point. But you always like battle royales as well. Like PUBG was like the battle royale, and then
yeah,
Fortnite just kicked it in the face and
yeah.
continued kicking it in the face, and then
There's been
took
a
over.
lot
But
of
Civ
battle
7,
royales that have come out and done really like had instant player bases, really popular, and then they all just seem to fall off. And Fortnite seems to be the only one that like just holds the retention.
it's a complete
Like Blood
juggernaut.
Hunt, I loved Blood Hunt. I'm so
I really
sad
enjoyed Bloodborne.
that it died. For those of you that don't know, Blood Hunt is, or it's, I think it's still live. I think you can still play it, but they're not updating it anymore. But it's a battle royale. It's set in the world of Vampire the Masquerade, which is a tabletop RPG setting. I think originally it's a TTRPG, but they also have video games. You get to be vampires. You can like feed off of NPC civilians, and like the different blood types will give you different perks.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. And you like scaled up buildings, and like depending on the clan of vampire you picked, you had different abilities. I love vampires, love gothic literature, love Vampire the Masquerade. It was my thing. I loved it, and I'm so sad that it's like no longer being updated or anything.
Yeah.
But that, I think when we first started playing that, it was popular, and then it slowly
it was doing quite well.
Died over time.
It was when they launched their like season pass thing, because it didn't have one originally. Originally, it was just you play the game and unlock stuff.
And I think not updating the like, you know, like the guns and the sights, like there wasn't really sights. It was very basic, like aiming with weapons.
And there was never like a new map or anything.
Yeah,
it was just the
so
one
maybe
map.
They just didn't update it quick enough that people lost interest. But another one that we hopped on was the finals, which I really liked. The finals.
Before we leave Vampire the Masquerade, I think they counted on Bloodlines or Bloodlines 2 coming out to keep the interest up, and then that game just keeps getting delayed and delayed.
It's passed around, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's
finals,
some drama around Bloodlines 2, but I
haven't. I think we would need more time to go into that.
I haven't fully followed it, but it has gone to a new studio now, and I was really excited. And let me just quickly. I know we're not really talking about it, but I just remember seeing the studio it went to, and the Chinese Room, which they did Amnesia. They did recently the game Still Wakes the Deep. It's Chinese Room.
Great game.
So I'm quite excited that they've picked it up, because they are good devs, and they're good horror devs. That's kind of I don't know if that's all they do, but it's definitely like their most prominent genre. So
yeah,
that should be good. But anyway, on to other more close games. So yeah, the what's it called?
You were talking about the finals.
The finals.
We are still on Civ 7, by the way. We'll get back to Civ 7 in a minute. Just bear with.
I was going to say the rivals. The finals, that was another battle royale that we got into, and it was really popular, and that seemed to also drop off.
It has slipped away, which is a shame, because I really like the aesthetic of it. It had that very
really cool,
futuristic, like Mirror's Edge, very just like clean lines and like modern buildings and stuff.
And crowds watching you, very like
crowds watching you.
Yeah, very like Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah, like one of the most satisfying like money noises in any game ever, where it's just the constant like ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Love that.
We'll have to do a whole chat about battle royales and why we think that Fortnite seems to be the only long-standing one. But anyway,
you and me have played like all of them at this point, because we always play a new battle royale pretty much.
Yeah, I like the battle royale. I tend to fall off them quickly, as we've just discovered. Apart from Blood Hunt, but I think my love of the setting is what kept me going. But back to Civ 7.
Yes.
You were saying that it's impressive that they've retained and kind of stayed on top as like real-time strategy. Is that
city building strategy game, yeah.
Well,
sort of city building, yeah.
It's got mixed reviews at the moment, so I'm holding off purchasing. Yeah. But I've heard that it's kind of been updated, and people thought it was a bit simplified to maybe welcome new audiences, but you can tweak the settings.
It has a very good critic score, but not a very good user score, which actually is the case for a lot of new games.
And I think Civ tends to have that, because Civ 6 wasn't well received when it first came out, and now, I don't know its rating now on Steam, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be positive, right?
I would think it's probably like at least mainly positive.
Very positive.
Oh, Even better.
So I reckon Civ 7 will probably have the same thing where people don't like it and then they're like, well, it's the new one, so I better learn it. And then they figure it out and like it. So one I'll pick up soon, but one I didn't pre-order. Partly because of the cost. Because I paid 60 quid for Baldur's Gate 3, okay? And I'm going to talk about it for a second. That gave me a lot of hours gameplay. Is it on par with Civ 7? I don't think so.
I feel very blessed that someone actually gifted me Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Just through the kindness of their own heart.
You got all those hours enjoyment for free.
For free!
Yeah, so that was Sims and Civ. Monster Hunter Wilds. I never got round to trying the beta. I'm very sad about that.
Super excited for Monster Hunter Wilds. I played, both of the betas. And it runs okay on PC is what I've heard. A lot of people struggled with optimization, but it was a beta. There's a reason they do betas. There's a reason they've done, I think they've done 4 betas. Because I think there was a closed one last year as well, but they've done 3 open betas this year, which on consoles at least have gone really well. Like I played it on the PS5 and it was buttery. It was lovely. It ran very nicely on PS5. PC obviously is always going to be a struggle, and I'm sure, they've still got 2 weeks until it releases. I'm sure they're going to iron that out and fix it up a bit. But I mean, it's so hard to do that for PC compared to consoles.
Yeah.
But what I played was fantastic. The character creator is absurdly detailed. It does like a little recap of all your decisions at the end of the character creator.
Oh, nice.
And it's literally 4 pages.
Wow.
Like the recap of all the things that you can change. I could play around with that for ages, and I really hope it's got like multiple save slots because I could just fiddle with the character creator and have loads of different characters.
Different characters,
yeah. So it's kind of a sequel to Monster Hunter World, which came out I think in 2015, possibly 2014. And then we had Monster Hunter Rise as well, which was originally a Nintendo Switch game and then came to PC as well. But that was very different. It was a very different aesthetic and had a lot of very different gameplay aspects to it. So this new one is kind of carrying on from World instead, which was the last like big AAA one. So it's very exciting, and it carries a lot of the gameplay elements. It carries all of the same weapons over.
Yeah.
A lot of the monsters and some new ones as well, which is amazing. By the way, there is a new monster in, or there was, the beta has ended now, but there was a new monster in that, which was like this giant winged dragon with horns, and it had like it had kind of like chains attached to its arms.
Okay.
So it could like swing chains at you and like fire lightning through them.
Oh my
god. It was very cool. Very, very cool.
Terrifying.
Oh, it is terrifying, but it's got such a great sense of like epic scale to it, Monster Hunter, where like you are just this tiny human. I mean, you're like a superpowered human basically.
Yeah.
But just going up, I mean, it's like constant boss fights, Monster Hunter. It's like the entire game is just boss fight after boss fight after boss fight.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. There are like nice in-between side quests, like sometimes you go from fighting this giant dragon to just, I need some honey for this new potion. It's like, I'll go get some honey.
I'll go get some honey.
And it's just quite relaxing and lovely. But it's
cool.
It's very nice. You've got your little cat companion with you, the little Palicos, which is a great name. They also, in Monster Hunter Rise, had sort of big, like, husky dogs.
Oh my god.
That were called Palamutes.
Oh.
Which I absolutely love the puns that they go to for these characters.
Yeah.
This is the first one where the Palicos talk, which is weird.
Okay.
Because in all the previous games, they would just meow and then have subtitles. But now they actually speak English, which is very weird.
Hey, let's go fight some monsters.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit of getting used to, but I quite enjoyed that. You can actually change it in the settings and just have them meow if you want to.
Oh, that's nice that they included that.
Yeah, you can choose. They have new mounts as well. You've got kind of like a chocobo raptor kind of thing.
Raptor? I'm in.
Kind of like a raptor, yeah. And they have like wings and they can glide, which is quite fun.
Cool.
Also, a really nice feature they've added is the ability to carry 2 main weapons now instead of 1. Where it's essentially you have your main weapon, but you can put another one onto your mount in like its saddlebags.
Yeah.
So while you're out, you can swap weapons without having to like fast travel back to base or anything, which is a nice little quality of life tweak.
Sounds like something you would do as a monster hunter if you had a mount.
A backup weapon is probably a good idea when you're fighting like giant dragons.
I want to try it. I'm so gutted that I missed the 2 betas, but
it's a shame.
Might be one we can play together, Zion. That would be fun.
Oh, dude, I would love to. I think we're going to be starting a guild for it in one of our communities.
Yeah.
I don't know what the limit on guilds is, but I think it's like a few hundred players. So
wow, that's good. Cool. Yeah.
And that essentially enables you to just hop in and join other squads at any time, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that comes out on the 28th.
Nice.
So a week on Friday. Talking about like playtests and stuff has reminded me there's a new game on Steam called All Will Fall.
Ooh, okay.
Which looks quite interesting. That is currently in the playtest phase. I have not played it yet. I don't know how it's going to run. The recommended specs are like my specs, which obviously sounds fine. But because it's in a playtest, there's no like user reviews for it. So I don't know whether it's actually like optimized or whether it runs well or what. But in terms of survival stuff,
structures that can collapse.
Quite interesting. But it's kind of like a city builder on water, but you kind of have to take into account like the physics and the weight of what you're building.
Yeah.
Where essentially you're building kind of like this oil rig kind of structure, but it can collapse and like they have like weather incidents, like they have heavy storms and stuff that can damage it. But yeah, you just speaking of playtests and survival stuff, that reminded me it looks like quite a fun time.
It looks so fun, but I can imagine how frustrating it is if you spend all that time and then a weather affects. Because I know that frustration from Ark, where you like spend loads of time building up your base, and then a T-Rex just decides to spawn and just like completely destroys it within seconds and eats all of your dinosaurs, horrific. And then you have to start from zero again. But it does sound cool.
It does. It looks very fun. But yes, that's all I've got on that. It just popped into my brain.
Another one we're going to talk about is Split Fiction. It's coming the first week of March by the makers of It Takes Two.
Yep, Hazelight Games. We played It Takes Two and it was great.
It was great. I think we should play this one. And I really like the sound of the story. So I watched the trailer before we started recording this episode. So it's about 2 writers who end up accidentally in the simulation of like their stories, and they're stuck and they have to get out, and like one of them is a fantasy writer and one of them is a sci-fi writer, so you go between like their different stories, so like you can be in fantasy then you might be in sci-fi, and I really like the sound of that narratively. It sounds really fun.
I love the enthusiasm
sets looked amazing
the team have for that.
The
director of the game, whose name's escaping me, I think it's Joseph something, I'm sorry. But he was one of the characters in A Way Out, which is the game that they made before It Takes Two.
I recognise that.
But he is the director for this one.
A Way Out. Oh yes, we played that. Or I played it with Mike Bullbox, maybe. I played that with someone.
I'm just going to quickly Google his name. Joseph Fares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he is the director for this, and when they announced it, his enthusiasm is just incredible. When he's just on stage and he's just like, "You're a giant dragon. You're fighting a flying pig. You're inside a sci-fi car," and I'm just like, "Yes, I'm in. I'm on board." It
looks really, really cool and fun.
It does.
The like effects and the map design from the trailer looks really amazing. So
yeah, because It Takes Two had a lot of very cool like little puzzles and stuff.
It did.
I remember the sort of like winter level we did, where we did like bobsledding.
I think we
there was
did
like
a lot of
swing
ice
we could
skating
swing on, and like there was like a diving underwater section and stuff as well. So I'm excited to see what they've done with this, because it looks to have a much bigger budget than It Takes Two. Like they've gone really all in with it. So it looks very exciting. So that is the first week of March.
Yes.
I think the 6th of March, I want to say.
Yeah.
I might be correct on that.
Yeah, I loved It Takes Two, but it's got a very kind of like childlike art style, obviously, because they're like little toys, and then they're like playing around in Rosie's like different childhood stuff. So I'm excited for this one because it looks a bit more mature and a bit more kind of
It was very charming, though. It Takes Two.
It was. I really.
I feel like even though you were, I think one of us was like a little wooden statue, and then the other one was like a sort of doll.
You were the
like
clay man.
knitted doll, yeah.
And I was the
But
wooden
they
one.
were super like expressive and like you could
Yeah.
see all of their personality coming out, even though they were just little creatures.
And a beautiful
So
story overall as well, about two
it
parents
was.
who kind of needed to reconcile after, showing that marriage is hard and takes effort, and
Marriage is hard.
both of
Yes,
us are
it was a
not
lovely book.
married, but we
No,
understood the story.
yeah,
um
I thought it was very nice.
yeah, it's nice when games can like have those like fun mini games and all that kind of stuff, but then the overarching story is like just nice. I'm excited for that one. Should we go on to, I'm just going up and down our list. Marvel Rivals just
Yep.
dropped today. Was it today?
The characters are not in the game today, but they
No, but this
announced, or
the
like
announcement.
the trailers
Yeah.
for Human Torch and the Thing.
The reveal, yeah.
The Thing
The
with an
Thing.
F. The Thing.
I'm hyped.
They look cool.
I was a little bit like when I watched the talk. What's he called?
Human Torch.
Human Torch. You can tell I
Human.
don't. Human. You can tell I don't
Human.
follow Marvel. Human Torch at first, I was like, oh, it's Storm with fire. I was a bit like, really? But then he does have different abilities. Like I think you said off when we weren't recording about the square, the like flame square you can trap.
Yeah, so it looks
in.
like he can sort of throw down like 4 fireballs, but then
Yeah.
it connects them and he can like sort of close people inside it
So cool.
and damage them.
And I like that his ultimate, if he activates his ultimate and then Storm ults into it, it turns her like Storm Hurricane into like a fire hurricane.
I can imagine we're going to get killed by that a lot.
Yeah, I'm really hyped for it though. We can play Storm and Human Torch together and cause chaos.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm assuming that's like one of the team up things, which I think is a really cool feature of Marvel Rivals.
Love that, because it really does make a difference. Like the Rocket, Winter Soldier, Punisher team up,
infinite ammo,
where you can give infinite ammo, is
disgusting.
really powerful.
I mean, I did a game as the Punisher with that infinite ammo, and I could literally just stand on the point and just mow down anyone coming towards me because it was just full auto, no reloading. It's great. And then you've got really like Groot and Jeff and Rocket sitting on his shoulders, and Jeff can just completely heal him all the time.
Yeah,
which
it really adds like another element of like tactical play. It's not only about comp; it's about the team ups too.
Great ones. There's the rewind one that Magic has.
With Psylocke.
Where like Psylocke and Black Panther can like rewind time and gain health back a little bit like Tracer from Overwatch.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there's gonna be them teaming up, and then also the Thing can do the same as the Hulk, where he can throw Wolverine, which just looks so goofy. But
that animation because he just looks like an egg.
I love it, and I love I don't think we've called Wolverine very often. We always call him Short King.
He's Short King
because he is a Short King.
We all love a Short King.
But I appreciate that looking at that gameplay trailer, they haven't just copied the Hulk for the Thing. Like he's got, like if you watch, because he is a melee character, but he's got more of like a boxing kind of style.
Yeah.
Where he does very sort of like fast jabs, whereas Hulk just swings at people.
Yeah, it looks like you can hold and do like a heavy punch that takes some time.
I appreciate that they haven't just copied the Hulk's moveset, but orange, you know?
Yeah. He is very similar to the Hulk, but I'm sure once we get into like playing them, it'll become obvious why you'd pick one over the other depending on the situation. Not that I ever pick Hulk anyway, but
no, I'm terrible. But
Magneto is my tank, or Penny Parker, but mostly Magneto.
Penny Parker.
Magneto. But yes, so there's two new Marvel Rivals. There's so much going on.
There is a lot. There's a lot happening.
Which brings us to the final big point, which is Assassin's Creed Shadows is delayed.
It was, I mean, this is kind of not like old news, but like they announced it was being delayed, but it was originally going to be, I think, just before Valentine's Day it was going to come out. And then they've delayed it to March. There's been a lot of complaints about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like people just, I mean, that's the nature of the internet. We hate everything. We hate everything, and you suck.
Quick
basically.
To criticize, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. People really want Assassin's Creed to make a comeback and just be the Assassin's Creed it was.
Yeah.
Where everybody loves it, and it was like the darling of action adventure games.
Yeah.
And
it
then
lost
they went
a lot of its charm.
RPG with it. I just don't appreciate that it went into an RPG. I don't think it ever made sense.
No, I think they lost the charm because they tried to do too much. They went too big. They went for RPG, but then it was never a proper RPG. So it kind of just then was a like half decent RPG, half decent action adventure instead of a really great action adventure.
Yeah, and Odyssey was good. I did like Odyssey.
Very repetitive. I found Odyssey.
It was repetitive, but I think it was very much the strongest out of maybe like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, because people did not like Valhalla.
I didn't even bother with it.
I did not either.
I really fell off Assassin's Creed after Ezio's story.
I think a lot of people did, and then they tried to sort of bring it back with Mirage, which I think was originally intended to be a DLC. And then they made it into a full game, and they were like, "It's like classic Assassin's Creed." And then people played it and said it wasn't very good. So Shadows,
just
I
can't
feel
catch
like
a break,
honestly,
can they?
yeah, I mean, I feel like honestly, Shadows is like their last chance. If I'm being honest with you, like Ubisoft are not doing well at the moment.
My issue with
especially with Skull and
Ubisoft,
Bones finally releasing and being a complete wet fart.
yeah,
So,
my issue with Ubisoft games, and I say this as someone who really loved the OG Assassin's Creeds, Far Cry 3. I was a massive fan of Far Cry 3. Every Ubisoft game I've played since feels the same. So I picked up Avatar Frontiers of Pandora because I love Avatar, as we found out in like episode 1 of this podcast.
Yeah.
And I didn't get very far with it because it just felt like every other Ubisoft game, just with different skins.
It's a problem. It's been a problem for a while now, where they go in, they make a big, beautiful map that always feels a little bit empty.
Yeah.
And then they put a load of towers or bases or hubs or whatever you want to call them around the map and say, you should climb up this and unlock the map.
Yeah.
And you do that. And you do that again and again and again until you can see the whole map and realize there's not a lot in it. Yeah. And they've done that since Far Cry 3, which I think was one of the first ones that had that.
Good, and I don't.
It was great.
Maybe
and then
because it was
Far Cry
the
4
first
was really good, but then it kind of just
and then it got boring. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Far Cry 3 that worked really well.
Far Cry 3 was the turning point, I think. Yeah,
maybe because the island was smaller, so like because the map was small, it didn't feel so. I don't know. Far Cry 3 was a masterpiece. I really want to go back and replay it, and it had you could climb the radio towers, you unlock part of the map. There's like the outposts that you've got to defeat to like make zones safe again.
Yeah. I mean, the tower thing kind of worked in Assassin's Creed because, I mean, I'm not a fan of the Animus thing. I think the modern day stuff in Assassin's Creed needs to just go away.
I think everyone.
But they kind of used it as like, you need to like calibrate the Animus by like getting a view of the land. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then Far Cry 4, it was just like, you can't see much. Go climb up a tower.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, as if climbing up a tower and giving a once over is going to be like, oh, yes, I now know where everything is. But
yeah, especially in the modern day stuff where it's just like, that's not how GPS works, but okay.
I think I barely played Far Cry 4 again, like Assassin's Creed. I loved Far Cry 3 and just didn't get on with any of the other ones. But I know for Far Cry 3, the whole thing was when you climb the radio tower, you turn it back on and then your GPS signal worked again. And that's why the map was uncovered. So it's not so much you're like, okay.
I remember a big lever.
Yeah, you had to like pull it. But yeah. But every Ubisoft game I've played since, and I really felt it with Avatar, which is a shame because I loved exploring the world of Pandora in that game. But the actual gameplay, I was like, this is just like every other recent Ubisoft game. You've just made it Avatar. And
it's so strange because Ubisoft are like one of the biggest names in the gaming industry, but they just keep making the same game.
Yeah. Anytime I see a new game. To an extent, they killed Watch Dogs. I loved the first Watch Dogs. Didn't like the other ones.
I enjoyed Legion, but I think that was
because
I talked about it extensively. That was because of Cliff. The reason I enjoyed Watch Dogs Legion so much was because we had like a main character. Like even though it was all randomly generated characters, we had a randomly generated character who was just such a guy.
Yeah,
he was just the man.
Yeah,
in that game. And that's what made it interesting is we created this whole like mythos of Cliff.
Yeah.
Who was just this old
It's almost
London
like
man.
user-generated content. Like you and your community made that game entertaining.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't streaming it, I wouldn't have enjoyed it.
No.
But having that community aspect of it and being like, this is Cliff,
Yeah.
And we had like our old grandma as well. We had Granny Louise as well.
Yeah, I
Who
remember.
had a rather saucy sex scene with another lady at one point, which was very, very funny. There's a little part of that story where you need information from someone and you have to like seduce them.
Yeah.
But that character is a lesbian, so we had to send in the grandma, and I tell you what, she did a great job. Knocked her socks off. But yeah, that was
well done,
that was what
Grandma.
made Legion so fun.
Yeah, so it's a shame. Hopefully they fix it up. But nowadays, if I like see a game and I'm like, wow, that looks interesting, and then I see that it's Ubisoft making it, I instantly am put off at the moment.
Yeah, and it's like we don't want to be like that. We want good games. We want good games, but
yeah, I've just been burned too many times. But maybe Shadows will bring it back. I saw that they added a kind of like base building element, and I was like, ooh, because you know me, I love crafting, I love survival.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the comments in the TikTok video, and everyone was like, just give us Assassin's Creed. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fair point.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people complaining about that. They don't like the historical.
No one likes change.
Accuracy of it. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's that historically inaccurate, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, they keep delaying it because they really do need to get it right. I feel like if this comes out and it flops massively, they are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Both in terms of like reputation and also financially. So
yeah. Well, I hope it does do well. Like, despite my rant about Ubisoft games, obviously I want.
I mean, we rant, but we rant because we care.
Yeah,
you know?
We're passionate. That's why. But like, I do want it to do well.
Games.
I'd love Assassin's Creed to be back to like good, enjoyable games. Obviously, the gaming industry at the moment is really kind of
in the toilet.
In the toilets, and I don't want that to happen. I want people to have secure jobs. I want studios to make good games. I want them to get paid for those games. I want games to do well. So I do hope it goes well, despite all my complaints.
What makes me worry about Shadows though is that Ghost of Yotei is coming out. I think this year, which is the follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima, which was like the definitive samurai game of the last few years. And like people have been asking for an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan since the series started.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just like, it's assassins, it's this whole secret order, like ninjas and samurai would be perfect for this. I don't know why they've never done it.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're finally doing it, but they've lost so much goodwill with people.
Yeah.
That A, a lot of people aren't interested, and B, now we have like another Ghost game coming out, which if it's anything like the first one, that is Sucker Punch, who made the Infamous games.
Oh,
if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're really popular. I haven't played them, but
and now that's going to compete with it. So
yeah. Well, hopefully they both do well. I know there's a lot of hype for the next Ghost game. Sally, most of us will know Sally. She loves Japan, and she loves Assassin's Creed, and she loves Ghost of how do you say it? Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima. So she is like, don't talk to me in March. I'm busy.
Don't talk to me. I'm busy. You know what?
Because I'm pretty sure both of... Because I think that one comes out in March too, right?
Ghost of Yotei, I don't think there's a release date for Ghost of Yotei
okay.
yet.
Never mind.
I think it was announced at the Game Awards last year.
Right.
Just doing a quick confirmation. It just says 2025.
Right. Okay.
But no, sorry, it was announced a little bit before the Game Awards. But yeah, 2025. So it is this year.
That's looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I mean, Assassin's Creed has got to survive that, basically.
Yeah. And I hope they do, genuinely.
Yeah. I mean, really. I hope they do.
We've been talking for 50 minutes, Zion. So have you got a hypothetical for me?
I do.
Yay.
It's kind of like a little question for you, Gab.
Okay.
You get double your salary.
Great.
Right?
I'm already
But there's some conditions.
Okay.
You must sign your emails with a different name every single email.
Okay.
You cannot use the same one twice.
Okay.
And it has to at least share a couple of letters with Gabby.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
All I can think of is Gavin.
You're going to need a spreadsheet. And you're going to need to keep up with this. Otherwise, you're going to lose your job.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
What about Gabriel? Can I use Gabriel?
You could use that. You could use that.
Just the one.
So you've got double your salary.
Nickname. I need clarifications to each of these points. So, like, for
You
example,
can use
Gabriel,
any...
could I then do Gabe? And then
you could,
Gab?
you
and
could,
then
yeah, because you send a lot of emails. I'm going to give
Okay.
you some caveats there.
Right.
But you're going to have a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because you can't use the same one twice.
Honey, I've
And you're
already
gonna have
got
to...
a million spreadsheets in my job.
well, you're going to have to get another one.
Okay.
And it's going to have to be filled with stuff like Gabino, Gubbers, Gabbington,
Gabellina.
Gabbington Smythe, Gabellina,
Okay.
Gabino Hoo Hoo.
Yeah.
Grabbather.
Grabbather.
Yeah. Gibbles. I mean, as long as it shares a couple of letters with Gabby or Gabrielle, whatever you prefer.
So it doesn't need to be an already established name. I can do gobbledygook.
Oh, it could be absolute nonsense. It could be like the names that I give to worms when we play worms.
Right, great. So
where it's just like Bing Muff Dump or something.
Okay, so the possibilities are kind of endless. All right.
The possibilities are endless, but it's got to at least kind of be a G.
Yeah, it can't just be like a bunch of letters.
Kind of name.
Yeah.
You get double your salary, but you have to make sure that you don't use it twice. Otherwise...
Is that it? Is that the only condition?
That's... yeah, I would say that's the only condition. I would say you just got to keep on top of it. You're in. Double your salary for Grabbather, Gabino,
double my salary
Gobbles.
To come up with a different name every email. Sure. So what about when so I email someone as Gabellina.
Yep.
They email me back. So then when I email them back again, new name, right?
Different name.
Cool.
Different name. So it's going to make meetings a little bit
people
confusing.
Would be.
Yeah, if you're going to have to start emailing business partners.
Because already people don't...
it's Gobbler.
Gobbler. Already people don't pay attention because my real first name isn't Gabby, right? It's a longer version of Gabby.
Yeah.
And that's like what my email signature is, what my email address is at work.
Your
and
email
I
address
always
can
sign off, thanks, Gabby, right?
Yeah.
Make it very obvious that I want to be called Gabby. And people rarely ever think, oh, she signed off Gabby, so she probably prefers to be called that, and they'll call me my full name again. So in every email after that, I'm like, thanks, Gabby. So I reckon I could get away with it, and they wouldn't even know I was changing the name.
Might not notice, and then someday someone's going to go, who is Gobbather?
Goober.
Or like, yeah, or Goober, or Gabrimo, or just, I don't know, whatever you want, really. Just like Gabavision,
Gabavision, Gab Effect.
Gab Effect.
Gabonage.
Gabonage. Gabassin's Creed.
Gabba's Age.
Yeah.
Gabba's Gate.
Like a Dragon, Yakuza pirate in Hawaii.
Veil Gab.
Yep, Veil Gab.
I mean, we've already done quite a few. So does this start tomorrow or?
Oh, it starts tomorrow. Yeah, you better get thinking.
Every time I message you from now on, I'm going to sign it off by a new name.
Yep. And that was where my mind was today. I was playing GCA. I was just like flicking through some silly little GCA online missions, and I thought, Gabby's going to have to think of a million new names.
Yeah.
Because you send a lot of emails in your job. And
listen, guys, it's double salary. So drop in the comments a version of Gabby. Help me keep my spreadsheet up to date, all right?
Everyone's got a name that's just some variant of Gus something.
Gus something. Well,
Gus something.
We've been Zion and Goober. You've been awesome. See you the next step.
See you next time.
From now
Goodbye,
on, Zion,
Gobbler.
that's sign off. I'm going to always change my name.
Oh, Gabbathy Chalamet. Yes.
And unless people have watched this episode, they'll never understand why I always sign off with a different name.
No, they'll never know.